Thank you all for coming out on this rainy day. I want to welcome you to the University Advisor Network Brown Bag Lunch Series. The Advising Network, for those of you who are not aware, connects academic advisors across campus to share information, ideas, and best practices in support of excellent guidance for BU's undergraduates. The Brown Bag Lunch Series provides an opportunity for advisors to hear more about the university's services available that support the advising process. It is also a wonderful forum to discuss common issues, solicit ideas, and to provide the opportunity for advisors throughout the university to get together. Today, members of the Educational Resource Center, better known as the ERC, one of the jewels in the crown of BU services to undergraduates, are here to share the programs they provide. To my right is Glenn Wrigley, Director of the Educational Resource Center, Christa Panciocco, Associate Director of the Educational Resource Center, Michael Lantvet, Assistant Director for Tutoring Services, Cecilia Lalama, Assistant Director for Mentoring and Outreach, and Amy Collinsworth, Student Outreach Manager. And I am very happy to welcome them here.
Thank you, everyone, for coming out on this gorgeous day. I have the least interesting part of today's presentation, talking to you about some data, some statistics, some numbers of students that come into the ERC. We gather information through our online interface called TutorTrack on the students that come in to visit us and the reasons why they come in. Last academic year, 2013-2014, about 9,000 students came to the ERC for various reasons. It's important to point out that there weren't 9,000 unique students, and although sometimes it seems that it was the same one and only student that came in 9,000 times to talk to us, it's somewhere in the middle. So a student that might come in 15 or 20 times over the course of a semester, 40 times over the course of a year for peer tutoring, a student that might meet with one of us on an individual basis over the course of the academic year, all those added up makes about 9,000 visits for the academic year. About 5,500 of those visits were for peer tutoring, which is, by and large, our largest offering. About 900 students came in for writing assistance. Probably half of those were non-native speakers of English. Probably half, again, were graduate students. So graduate students coming in to work with our graduate students about their writing assignments. About 300 students came in to visit our Language Link program. 300 students came in to meet with us on a one-on-one basis. We call it in-house, we call it individual advising. It's not academic advising, but it's college advising, life advising, talking to them about study skills, about time management skills, and those kinds of things. Cecilia, in her efforts, reached about 1,000 students going into classrooms, working with professors. We like to say colluding with professors in delivering some of the academic skills offerings that we have. And then our student ambassadors reached out last academic year, and they touched about 1,000 undergraduate students. I wish you could see the graph, the beautiful graph that I can see right here in front of me. Which is an average GPA by program. Those students that came in to meet with us on a one-on-one basis had an average GPA just above a 2.8. The students that are coming in for peer tutoring, does anyone have a guess of what their average GPA was, ballpark? A little bit higher than a 2.9. So the students that came in for peer tutoring are actually doing pretty well in the courses in which they're being tutored. For writing assistance, higher than a 3.0 was the average GPA, and for our Language Link program, which is our least academic program, more informal program, the average GPA was about a 3.3. Student utilization by college. The students that are coming to the ERC, by and large, are coming from the College of Arts and Sciences. About 50% of all students that came in last year came from CAS. About 20% came in from Sargent, and the remaining 30% CGS, SMG, Engineering, College of Communication, and so on. What the students say. Once again, I wish you could see the beautiful quote that is right in front of me, but this is what students have to say. We ask students for feedback on our programs. They have surveys that go out to them on a regular basis, and they can provide us with some qualitative feedback. I will read you the quote from a CAS sophomore. And I should preface it by saying that this CAS sophomore probably could have benefited by visiting our writing assistance program. I think the program is wonderful and can be one of the most useful things you do while here at BU. That being said, I think what you gain out of the tutoring program depends on both your own personal determination and also with the talent of the tutor that you are provided with. And that speaks a lot about what we provide to students. We're not simply repeating content to students. We're not bolstering what's already being taught to them in their classes. What we try to do is we try to get them to in touch with the strengths that they already have and to benefit from those strengths. So when a student comes in for peer tutoring, they are bringing a lot to the table. They are bringing a determination. They're bringing a willingness to work harder, work a little bit more. And what the peer tutor can provide is invaluable. That peer tutor has been through the course, the 16-week course, understands the professor's expectations, understands the pace of the course, understands the type of questions that are being asked, understands how homework is approached in the course, and that tutor can help to teach some of those strategies and those skills that can help other students be successful in the course. So it's not just a repetition of content. We also have professors that provide feedback. We work very closely with professors. We go into the classrooms. We work with them helping to build their students' learning skills, study skills. We help them train their students so that they can, their students can provide support to the students within their programs. And I wanted to read a quote from a CAS professor. This quote was not written about me, so I'm not trying to pat myself on the back. It was written about one of us, okay? I just wanted to thank you again for the training session you led us through for our student leaders. It really was perfect and helped out the new mentors, and I really think the more experienced ones as well immensely. And it was a terrific way to help them bond and to encourage them to talk about their experiences with each other. And of course, your usual charm and skill made it both comfortable and enjoyable for everyone. So again, thanks. And you know the price you pay for being good at your job is that we'll be wanting more of this as new people come in. So that's what we're trying to hope to do. We're trying to make connections with students, with faculty, so that we can build these kinds of bridges and get the word out there. And I think that's where all of you can help. That's what I have to say for today. I'd like to introduce Christa Panciocco, who's going to talk to us a little bit more about our offerings in writing assistance. Thanks, Christa.
Well, glad you're all here today. I have the opportunity to speak with each of you about the Writing Assistance Program, a program that I truly believe in, as do my colleagues. We see it as being an extension to the classroom. And so what Writing Assistance does is it provides undergraduate and graduate students, as well as alumni of Boston University, the opportunity to work one-on-one with a writing fellow. The ERC Writing Fellows are graduate students and doctoral candidates at Boston University. They have applied to be a writing tutor, and they work with students on a one-to-one basis. For us, it's important that they have experience working with students in a tutoring capacity, as well as have the skills and abilities to communicate effectively both in person, verbally, and through writing. Our writing fellows are hired to perform anywhere from 6 to 12 hours a week of writing support for our students. Writing fellows will work with students through all parts of the writing process. Students can come to us and have a blank slate. So they're looking for someone to, one, help them identify the writing prompt, or help them generate some ideas and brainstorm on how they're going to develop their thesis. There's also opportunity to create and work with a writing fellow to develop strong, effective arguments in their writing. Writing fellows do not just proofread, and we don't proofread students' writing. The goal is for these writing fellows to help educate and teach students how to develop those skills to do some self-proofreading. So not only do writing fellows assist with the brainstorming part, the writing content, making sure a thesis is strong, but they also assist with the flow of any piece of writing that a student would come to the writing fellow with. Oftentimes, if a student is in the midst of a writing assignment, we encourage students to come with that writing assignment so that they can work directly with the writing fellow. Students are now bringing their laptops to appointments, and they're also bringing hard copies of writing. So we work with students to assist them in whatever type of material they bring. One thing that is important to know that a writing fellow will not assist with a take-home exam. Certainly, they will potentially help a student generate ideas, but the actual finished product is not something that a writing fellow works with. We have 3 different types of writing assistant programs or work opportunities for students to work with writing fellows. They're the traditional appointment. That is a 45-minute appointment that students will register for online. There is also a ESL appointment that is 30 minutes in length. And this is an appointment where writing fellows who are skilled and specialized working with students where English is their second language have an opportunity to sit and work with the students. And lastly, we have drop-in appointments. These drop-in appointments are valuable in that for those people who might need that last-minute question before they submit an assignment, they're available for these appointments on Wednesday evenings from 7 to 9. It's a great opportunity to come to a drop-in appointment with one specific question and leave within 20 minutes, hopefully having some progression or understanding of where the student needs to go from there. And if we had the slide to show you, I would be able to tell you exactly how you can advise a student on how to make an appointment to meet with a writing fellow. So here's an example. Very easily, when a student would like to meet with a writing fellow, they have opportunity to go on our website. This is the ERC website, our homepage, and if they go to bu.edu/ERC, you'll see that there's an opportunity for writing assistance along with several other components of the ERC academic support services we offer. In this case, the student would click on the writing assistance piece, and from there, they would scroll down to where schedule a writing assistance appointment. Once they have done this, after reading some of our detailed descriptions about the type of opportunities available to students, they can then register and request to meet with a writing fellow. Excuse me. These appointments are, I'm going to skip back. These appointments are an opportunity for the student to individually work with writing fellows and be advised. Yes?
I just have a question. I work in the library, and I find that students are very often not good at planning an event like this. So maybe anyway, it's the spur of the moment type thing. So if they drop by here, what's the chance of their seeing a fellow?
Very slim, unless it's Wednesdays from 7 to 9. We'll certainly, if a writing fellow were available and they had an open appointment honestly, out of the goodness of their heart, they would squeeze in a few minutes with that student. But just so you have a sense of logistically how a writing assistant's appointment works, students can schedule appointments predominantly once a week. They can have one appointment per week. So when they schedule one time to meet, once that appointment is complete, they have an opportunity in 6 days to schedule a follow-up or another meeting. So that is an opportunity for students. When a student looks at the entire semester, they're able to, within the ERC Writing Assistance Program, have a total of 9 appointments. So there might be students who will utilize these appointments early on in the semester, or there might be students that will space these appointments out depending on their writing assignments or their course load. I hope that some of this information that you were able to see will help you when you're working with students if they need to seek out some writing support in any part of the writing process. This is just one area within Boston University, one writing program that provides support, but one that we are very pleased with and see positive outcomes from. And so with that, I have the opportunity to introduce Michael to you, who oversees an even broader program, our tutoring program.
Hello, everyone. I'm the Assistant Director for Tutoring Services, and I'd like to talk to you a little bit about the peer tutoring program. As Glenn mentioned earlier, it is one of our largest and most populous programs, and that means that there's a lot to know about it. There's a lot of options, as many options as we have students here. There's all different iterations of what students come to us for and what the tutors do, and it's a very unique program in the way that it is only a peer-to-peer tutoring program. So what is it? Well, the main goal that fuels the tutoring program is to create stronger, more independent learners. We do not want to put our undergraduates in the position that they need to be as knowledgeable as the professors or to just have answers for every single question that a student might have. We want them to help guide undergraduate students, to help them reach their fullest potential, to help them develop a sense of how to approach the subjects that they're studying differently, and to create those insights and connections that help them really excel, not just in the courses that they're asking for us and help in now, but grow upon those and carry these lessons forward into adjustments that will help them their sophomore year, their junior year, and ultimately their senior year without relying on the support of a peer tutor. So who are they? Well, we have undergraduate peer tutors from a variety of the schools and colleges here at the university, and that includes CAS and COM and Engineering and Sargent and School of Management. I don't have a lot of tutors from CFA, but I keep looking at those. They have certain requirements that they must meet when they apply to become a peer tutor, which includes a GPA of 3.0 or higher, a B or better in the course that they would like to return and tutor. And they also commit to us an availability of 4 hours at a minimum every week of the semester until we get to the end of classes, in which their commitment ends, but doesn't often fully cease. We do offer tutoring during both reading period and the finals period, but that is very largely dependent on what our tutors are up to at that moment. We wouldn't ask them to sacrifice their own study time for their finals in order to help others, so we generally make it work out very well, however. This is a very small percentage of our peer tutoring population, but more about that in a minute. Some of you, to give you either a framework or to answer a question that you might already be thinking, why would a student want to meet with a peer tutor? Personally, I love it when the students have the opportunity to go visit with their professors. They get to ask those questions of their TFs, and in the variety of other support systems that are available to them at the university. However, these are some of the direct quotes that we've received when students make appointments. I have not edited them in any way. I simply cut and paste into the slide. But this gives you an example of some of the range of questions that students come in to work with their peer tutor on. So everything from, we have a test coming up next week, and I just want to make sure I'm on top of things. That's one reason that flows very frequently in the program, where students are uncertain that they're doing well over time and need that assurance and sort of a built-in study strategy. If they are accountable to meet with a tutor each week, then they have a definitive place where they know they have to have questions or at least have reviewed material or thought about it in depth. Sometimes they go further and take an exam and they want to review those answers, and they can see what they've done wrong and help to develop that sense of what they're going to do differently for the next exam. But for all of these reasons, tutoring helps. One question that I get very frequently is, how many courses do we tutor? And that's depending on how you count them. But in the fall, we tutored approximately 100 different courses. That number is right around that target currently. This is a very complicated pie chart that you can't see all of the courses that are listed, but it gives you a sense of the percentages of the total population that we're serving. So we have 93 peer tutors on staff as of this moment. And they tutor in a variety of courses. Some of them are tutoring in various combinations, such as a science. Maybe they'll tutor some chemistry, and at the same time, also be available to tutor in French. So there's never really a tutor that is strictly a chem tutor. They tutor in more than one course. And if we were counting differently, so this is just a sense of, for example, I have tutors that are tutoring Chem 203, but if you started thinking about how different those courses can be presented per professor, then you're expanding the number quite a bit. So that would bring us up to about 150, 175 different courses if we were, if we were looking at it that way. Now, in order for you, if you're meeting with students that are asking for a little bit of extra help and you need to advise them on how to get it, one of the things that you can do is understand the way that students make arrangements to meet with a tutor. And I say make arrangements with a tutor instead of get a tutor because it's less a commodity and more an opportunity. So we use a program called TutorTrack, and TutorTrack allows us to enter schedules for the 93 peer tutors that we have and allow other students to find what available times there are to make an appointment to meet with the peer tutor. And this is the front page. So if you sit in the middle of one of your appointments with an advisee, you can easily navigate to this page as well and walk them through the process or explore with them the process of finding a peer tutor. And it operates just as it would for logging into the link. They would use their Kerberos ID and password, and they log in. The thing I thought I'd show you is kind of the next phase of what it looks like when a student is actually searching for an available appointment. And the screenshot is of someone looking for an MA 115 tutoring appointment. Each one of those bricks represents a different time and a different kind of appointment. We offer it in two different styles. You can have a single appointment, which is one-on-one with a peer tutor. It lasts for 1 hour, or up to an hour, I should say. Sometimes they run out of questions, and it ends in 45 minutes. And it only is happen the one time. It is not guaranteed to repeat, although some students are savvy and can find the same tutor and roughly the same time each week, but it's one type of option that it is good for students that are looking for a little bit of guidance, maybe not that earlier description that I said where it's keeping up on their material each and every week. Then, those single appointments are the ones that you see in green, but the ones that you see in yellow, and those are the weekly appointments. Those happen consistently each week. It has one tutor with up to 3 students in the visit, and it lasts for up to an hour and a half. And I'm a huge fan of the weekly appointments. I think they're a great option. It helps students hear the questions from other students. Sometimes I know that in my advising meetings, I see or hear from students that think that they're the only person that doesn't understand what's going on in class. And so it's hard for them to admit that they need the help. With a weekly appointment, you already have 2 other people built into the visit, and you get to hear their questions. You get to hear about what they don't understand. And in some cases, and very frequently, you, as the student in the group, get the opportunity to explain what you understand to the rest of the group instead of relying simply on the tutor as a mini teacher. And the tutors are trained to help those students work through those problems themselves and to vocalize their issues so that they can get a better understanding of what they're learning, what they're not learning well, and how to manage a group session so that everyone is learning at the same time. So I thought, what are the kinds of questions I would like to see all advisors ask of their advisees in order to help them figure out if tutoring is the right academic resource for them, because it isn't for everyone. So these are some of the questions that I ask when I get students calling to find out if they can just get a tutor. And I ask them about what are they struggling in with the class? Like where are they going wrong? Finding out what they've done so far to try to improve. If the answer is nothing, they've got a little bit more work to do before they're meeting with a peer tutor. They might want to try making sure they're reading their materials or keeping on top of that kind of work, attempting the homework, things like that. And if they're telling you, well, I don't understand everything, or I don't understand anything at all would probably be the more common phrasing of it, ask them to help identify some questions that if you had the opportunity to meet with somebody, what kind of questions would you ask them? It's a good place to start, and our tutors are trained to also ask our tutees those questions before they even meet. We want to help them develop their own sense of question asking, which helps them to refine those points where they may be weak, and it helps for efficient appointments. And then finally, help them find the ERC's website, bu.edu/ERC, the peer tutoring tab. And if you wanted a great understanding of what can and cannot happen in peer tutoring appointments, the what to expect section is really an excellent opportunity for discussion as well as education on what the tutoring program will do. And you also may be asking, well, peer tutoring can't be the only source of academic support in this way on campus. And you're right, it is not. But are there other ones? And we, I think, do a good job at bringing in those options and listing them on our additional academic resources part of the website. And we give people options about what can you do in math? Can you find math help in a different format? Or what kind of drop-in appointments are available on campus? And in a whole manner of different options that we update, aware of new things that come up. And then finally, one thing that I want to talk about even before we move on to the next section of our presentation is the questions that I mentioned previously about how to make good referrals. If you don't have the opportunity to go through all this and you feel like the student should come and talk to one of our professional staff in the office, you can recommend that they do that. We will take your referrals if you know one directly and want to communicate. You have a student, you've been working with them, want to give us a little bit of information, you hear what kinds of issues they might be experiencing and wonder how it is that we can help them, contact us directly if you want. But additionally, if you want that student to have that element of self-advocacy that we all hope to have, you can also look on our website under About Us and a couple different other sections of the website. We tried to make the link available to as many different pages as possible. But you can click a request form, and that form will generate to our staff, and then we'll be scheduled with that student with one of the professional staff. If they have a particular referral, they can say, I was told by my advisor I should meet with Lalama to talk. They can put that as an option. If they actually have a referral or they forget, they can say, I'm happy to meet with anyone. Here are some of the things that I'm struggling with, and we will make that appointment happen for them in some capacity. So I'm sorry, I skipped ahead one slide. That brings us to our next presenter, Cecilia Lalama, to talk about some of the even better options that to the ERC.
Good afternoon, everyone. As the Assistant Director for Mentoring and Outreach, my job is really to reach out to faculty, help raise awareness about our resources among the faculty, and then by virtue of doing that, reaching students in the classroom and really trying to get them in a captive audience setting to talk to them about how they learn. And so really it's in keeping with all of our goals to make students more self-aware, more conscientious about how they're studying and how they're prioritizing their work. So I thought I'd start out by talking a little bit about our learning styles workshops that I developed a couple years ago and that we've been shopping with different faculty, mostly in the hard and natural sciences so far. And the purpose of that workshop is really, again, to get in front of the students in the classroom and really contextualize our message, to talk to them a little bit about how cognition works and why it matters to the way that they're studying for their classes, right? And also to get their buy-in by virtue of being present in the classroom, of having the cooperation of the faculty member, and also working with the TFs or the undergraduate assistants that help those students in those classes. So the goal of the Learning Styles Workshop is really to elevate the conversation a little bit more beyond how are you managing your time, although that's very relevant to how successful they are in their studies. But it's really about talking to them in a more minute level as far as how aware are they of the kinds of learners that they are? How do they identify as learners? Are they utilizing all the learning modalities they have available to them in order to gain a better, richer understanding of their material? Are they just focusing on memorization? Is that the problem? So often when students come and meet with us for individual advising appointments or ask for a peer tutor, our first question really is, what else is going on in your personal/academic life, and what steps are you taking to take control of your understanding of the content? How much are you using your resources? So our Learning Styles workshops really just, for now, have touched on the natural sciences, as I said before. I like using the VARC Learning Styles assessment tool. It's a very quick self-assessment that's available online. It frames learning modalities in a very accessible way to students. It talks to them about whether they are visual, auditory, read, write, or kinesthetic learners, and that's a concept I think that most students can grasp pretty easily, even though I'm aware that there are so many other learning styles assessment tools out there. And so that formula has really worked well so far. It allows the ERC, me specifically, to make contact with faculty, to offer them something of value that they can then take some time out of their classes, out of their lectures or discussions, so that they can allow us to go into the classroom, which is really a commodity for us, right? It's really difficult to convince a faculty member that this message is worth some class time. So what we've been doing over the past couple of years is taking advantage of those lab times and class times that become available by virtue of holiday weeks. You know, that like the Columbus Day week is a great example, where Tuesday became Monday. Lab wasn't offered for a physiology class that I worked with recently. And so we went in and offered a Learning Styles workshop several different times that week to as many students as were interested in signing up for it. And so the other aspect that really makes that successful is that now you're dealing with a self-starting group of students who are self-selecting into this opportunity to learn a little bit more about themselves academically. You know that they're there because they're invested in the message. And they're participatory because they signed up for it without an incentive from the professor. There's no extra credit offered. They're not tested on it later on. They're really there for their own self-edification. So that's something that we've been offering for the past couple of years and continues to grow. The more I meet with faculty in the sciences, the more I can talk to their peers, and the more credible the message becomes because we're now being referred by, from one faculty member to another. So that's been a great addition to our offerings. Something that most of you are probably familiar with in terms of our outreach to students is our Sophomore Strategies program. It's gone through a couple of different iterations over the past few years. It started, for those of you who remember, as the Contingent Aid Program, which we offered in conjunction with the Office of Financial Assistance. And back then, several years ago, it really was targeted to students that were financial aid recipients. And so once we decided to reinvent that program, we really broadened our scope and now target sophomores across the university who fall between a 0 to a 2.29 grade point average. That magic number came from the fact that most colleges have a 2.3 grade limit for academic probation. So that was the rationale for cutting it off. We contact students individually by phone at the end of the summer. So to give you an example, this summer we contacted about 150 students individually over the phone to invite them to be part of this program. And really all Sophomore Strategies is a series of workshops that these students are invited to participate in throughout the fall semester, and then the opportunity to meet with staff members on an individual basis. So really, it's not thing that they couldn't access on their own in seeking out resources through the ERC, but the goal in bringing these students together is to create a mentoring environment so that these students really know that they're not the only ones in this academic situation, that there is value in sharing ideas with their peers, that there is value in having guided discussions on how we learn and how we manage our time, and to have those discussions in a format in which it's, they're in a safe space. They can rely on each other, they can speak to one another, and they can then use a staff member to report on their progress, talk to us about any concerns they might be having. Because we enjoy a good relationship with the advising community and with the faculty on campus, we're then able to report back to them on how it is that they're doing in their classes by virtue of submitting mid-semester progress reports, right? Which is something that the advising community can do for them as well, but since we've now really identified these students as needing the extra support, we're also in a position to help them make sense of where they are academically. And most of you know that we reach out to the advising community every fall semester and provide you with a list of students that land on our target list to really make sure that our outreach is appropriate given your relationship with them in the colleges. In the spirit of reaching students where they are, because we have experienced many a time when we've set up a workshop only to get a few students or none at all sometimes, because we've learned that just because you build a resource doesn't necessarily mean that they will come, right? Our Blackboard Learn project has been something we've been working on over the summer. It's live. You can direct your students to our Blackboard Learn course. It's under the All Blackboard Learn Courses tab. It's a work in progress. The goal is to continue adding workshop content to our Blackboard Learn course. So far, I have added a module on learning styles, a module on time management skills, and eventually most of our workshop content, which we developed a long time ago and which is now being delivered directly to students through our Student Ambassador program, which Amy can talk to you about a little bit later. Eventually, the thought is to add that workshop content to Blackboard Learn so that students can access our resources in a venue that they're already accustomed to. In building this resource with the Information Services and Technology team, we learned that over about 50% of the faculty at BU utilize Blackboard Learn for their courses. So that's just another way that we've decided to make our resources available so that students really don't even have to get out of bed if they want to access the Educational Resource Center. The neat thing about Blackboard Learn is that it also gives us an opportunity to link back to our own website. So if students determine that they do want to seek out peer tutoring or request an individual advising appointment, they can just click on the link to the ERC and they're on our page. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about Language Link, which is a program I'm pretty positive most of you are familiar with. It's been reinvented a little bit this fall, and we're pretty excited about what the possibilities are with Language Link. As you know, Language Link allows students who are taking a foreign language to be part of a weekly hour-long conversation group in that language. Currently, we're offering Italian, German, French, Chinese, Korean, Japanese, English, and so the reinvention really was in deciding to offer an English language conversation group as part of Language Link, which is not something that we've previously done. The goal there is to reach the international population, to offer them something of value through a program that's been in existence for many years, but it's an opportunity to bring international students in who want that conversational skill. And we've worked a little bit with the Writing Center in the College of Arts and Sciences, who is also offering an ESL pronunciation group, and I believe those are offered every week. So there's a neat symbiotic relationship there with the College of Arts and Sciences Writing Center and the ERC, given that those two programs are happening in this building. So if students want to access Language Link resources, they can also just go to our website, bu.edu/ERC, and click on the Language Link tab. And my colleague Megan Groshek, who runs Language Link, can answer any questions about it when we break. So that's really my portion of the presentation. If I were to ask you anything, I would say encourage your students to be curious. Talk to them a little bit about why it is that they're having difficulties with their studies, right? And how they can really think about being their own self-advocates by knowing themselves better. That's really the message. And the Learning Styles workshop is something that we're offering currently in the classroom setting. It's not something that we're offering on its own. Again, because we really realize that catching them in a captive setting, contextualizing the information for them really makes a big difference in how open they are to that information. And I'm happy to share any Learning Styles information with you all as you continue to refer your students to us. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Amy Collinsworth, and she'll talk to us a little bit about the Student Ambassador Program.
Hello, everyone. So I'm sort of wrapping up this portion of our presentation, and then we'll open up for some questions. So I won't speak for too long to you. But I don't know most of you in this room, so maybe we can chat or say hello afterwards on a one-on-one basis. I'm Amy Collinsworth. I'm the Student Outreach Manager for both the Center for Career Development and the Educational Resource Center, a branch that's only existed for these two centers we're going into the third year. So really since we've been into this building. I've been here since February, so I'm fairly new, but very excited to be a part of the ERC in this way. My role is working with a lot of these wonderful students and more that aren't here, a student outreach coordinator, and really working with probably about the 30 or so people that work between these two centers and just connecting with them and really, working with them, and we're challenging each other to think about the ways that we execute student outreach. But today, I will focus on our Student Ambassador Program, which is a big component of that student outreach, give you a little bit about the students that are actually a part of that program, and talk to you about how you can support your students when you're advising them to connect with these students. So our Student Ambassador Program, these are three of our awesome students. The one on the right is not a priest. It's just an unfortunate tie picture incident. But truly, it's a student leadership program at BU that offers the opportunity for students to represent both centers as ambassadors and to truly be liaisons to their peers and be an extension of the services that we offer. Because as most of us know, it's really awesome to have an opportunity to have students representing whatever work you do and connecting with other students, because students hear each other very differently than they hear us. And so for us, this has been a fantastic addition to the two centers. Who are the student ambassadors? So at any given time, we've got 14 to 18 of them. It depends on the budget, depends on who leaves and who stays, but a fair amount of students who work for us about 10 hours per week during the school year, and a few that represent us in the summer and work with orientation. They represent classes from sophomore to senior year, and currently we're representing 4 different colleges. It's pretty tough for us to recruit students who are in colleges such as engineering and CFA, and I think that's simply because of the type of rigor that's required in those colleges, but we are working on efforts to build in a volunteer program that will allow us to recruit students from those colleges on a more limited basis so that they can provide that connection that we don't necessarily have right now. You'll see this fun puzzle picture, and that was really from an activity we did with our students this year, but I thought it was a fun way to represent the structure of our program. I really believe that student programs that are most successful are really owned and run by the students, and so this year that's the structure we're pursuing. We've got a partnerships team who focuses on very targeted efforts towards outreach to student organizations, a programming team who manages logistics of workshop requests, staffing workshops, and ensuring that their peers are trained up to facilitate our workshops, and a PR team who manages all social media efforts, as well as supporting recruitment for the Student Ambassador Program, and just ensuring that the brand that the Student Ambassadors are representing for the Student Ambassador Program in both centers is consistent, accurate, and doing the right thing. So what do they do? They're liaisons to their peers, to the community, both in the center here, the Yaki Center for Student Services, as well as across campus. We talk a lot about how we want to provide through all of the services my colleagues have talked about, the tools and the skills that are necessary to be successful here through these services and programs. The same thing exists with our student ambassadors. They're there as an extension to provide those tools and those skills through in-person outreach, individually, through tabling, through just being that knowledgeable peer who can help someone who does need a hand maybe in the classroom. Supporting CCD ERC programs, they help with marketing efforts, they staff programs. You may have seen them at the career fair if you were there, for example. And then outreach through social media. We've got an example of a tweet here, so follow us at CCDERC_SA if you're interested and you have Twitter. They retweet things that both centers tweet out. They connect with student organizations. They provide that extension of the two centers through social media as well. And then I thought it would be important for you all to know about the different workshops that they offer, because it's awesome. And they are delivering academic skills workshops, career skills workshops. They're competent, they're knowledgeable, they've participated in services that make them able to successfully facilitate these workshops, to answer questions about them, ranging from things from BU Career Link, our career hub across campus, interviewing and networking do's and don'ts, just brainstorming for your resume. Maybe students aren't ready to come in and have a resume review, but they need to figure out what should go on it. And academic skills topics, which is more relevant to the ERC. Time management is a big one, so we've got beginning and advanced time management skills workshops. Creating effective class presentations. How can you create one, prepare for it, and be really engaging when you deliver it? I think that's a really awesome workshop that we offer, and I would venture to guess that's a pretty unique workshop that we offer here at BU compared to our peer institutions and other institutions across the US. Got Sleep, Avoiding the All-Nighter, which sort of grew out of a partnership with the Health Center? Yeah, with the Health Center on campus. And then Effective Note-Taking and Test Preparation, which goes in line with a lot of the services we offer, and it's just another extension of how we can help students figure that out. So there are a lot of ways that you can connect with the student ambassadors. You'll see a really fun picture on here of Beyonce getting a resume review, because that is the fun way our students connect with each other, by tweeting things that are relevant to their peers. So I thought that was a fun picture to share. So they're on Twitter. You can send us an email, request a workshop on both the CCD website and the ERC website. They're also in room 101, which you'll see on the tour after this if you participate, which you should, because you'll get to meet a lot of our awesome students. And then we have a new study hall that we've launched this year. So I guess the key takeaway for you to know is, if students aren't comfortable connecting with a professional staff member, we have this awesome group of students who truly are our ambassadors, who can also provide that connection for them. If your students are a part of a student group, are really looking for a skill that that group can develop or need support in, we have a lot of support for that in all of these topics. And we can also customize things. So we're here to help in any way we can. And we're excited to have you here. I know we have just a few more minutes, so we'd love to open the floor for any questions, and we'll answer it in panel format up here.
Hi, I'm Sean from Pre-Professional Advising. If we have students coming in looking for help with writing, whether it's a paper or personal statement or that sort of thing, and they're asking, what's the difference between writing assistants and the writing center? Where should we be referring them, do you think?
That's a great question. I would say, initially I would encourage the student to go towards their professor in that particular course, and then within the college that the course is being offered, there might be a writing program available to provide support. I'll use COM as an example, because what I'm learning is COM has assignments, has specific ways to tailor assignments and to write, so they might be better off working with a COM writing assistant through the COM writing program. However, with that in mind, the ERC program can provide writing support for your traditional undergraduate or graduate student, as well as students that where English is a second language. Does that answer, Glenn?
Can I add, the CAS writing center that's in this building, primarily they're seeing, the CAS writing Writing Center in this building, primarily they're seeing students for the CASWR courses. It's my understanding that if they have an excess in a particular day or a particular week, they will see students in CAS classes. However, they won't see someone that's in a College of Communication course that's coming in specifically with a College of Communication assignment. So the ERC exists as the sort of catch-all. We will see any student in any course for any academic writing assignment. What we want to be careful of is students that is coming to the ERC to work on a cover letter. Okay, then we will make the referral to our neighbors at the Center for Career Development. We want to make sure that that we are providing academic writing for academic work. Okay, so that really is the distinction. CAS writing is for WR courses, then for CAS courses, and the ERC is for everyone, everywhere. Yep.
I have another question also from the library. Because we have this reference desk and students come up to us and ask really questions of all sorts. And they might ask, well, they've asked me, can you proofread this for me? Where would you have librarians send students initially? Because some librarians will probably say this is not in there. You're not supposed to do this. I will do anything under the sun for any student, no problem. But where would you send most librarians in terms of, would you have students look at the website of the ERC, or what would you have them do if it's like a general question at our reference?
For proofreading, I'm going to say I don't know where to send them. Okay, that is something that we are pretty adamant about in the ERC, is that we don't proofread papers. If a student has a specific question about writing a strong thesis statement, is this a good thesis statement? Okay. And if you're willing to look at it and say, well, no, I don't think it is, but I know that in the ERC they can work with you on developing a strong thesis statement. And what we will do is we'll sit down with the student, we'll talk to them about what makes a strong thesis statement in general. We'll then compare and contrast that to what they've written, and we will ask them, we'll try to pull it out of them, what do you think is going to make this stronger? So we want to steer away from the language of proofreading, and we want to get to the mechanics of writing. If you have determined that is what, there's some aspect of formatting or citing properly that the student is having difficulty with, we will see them, absolutely. Once again, steering away from the language of proofreading.
So the recruitment for peer tutors takes a variety of forms. So depending on supply and demand, and looking at what courses are represented by the current staff that we have selected and trained, balancing that with the graduation attrition, and in some other cases study abroad and other such factors that call our peer tutors away from us for a semester or two. We reach out through digital advertisements throughout the schools and colleges, wherever I can get someone to post a digital advertisement for us, and that was done this year all throughout this building, School of Management, Sargent College. I will reach out directly to professors to ask for recommendations or if they can encourage certain students to apply. I will sometimes email blitz certain courses that are part of a sequence. So for example, if I need PY 105 tutors, sometimes I'll look to the PY 106 crew. I try to make connections with as many faculty as I can find in order to help them to understand what I'm looking for. And in general, I've built up a network, albeit generally small, but still a network, of professors who know exactly the kind of work that I'm doing. They have taken the time to meet with me and figure out what skills I'm looking for in an undergraduate that would develop into a very strong peer tutor. And otherwise, sometimes we just put them on the kiosks that are flowing around campus. When you have a screensaver, you'll see them. I think it's the BU official kiosk, but I work with the Dean of Students office as well to get that out. Also, student ambassadors, and through our social media channels, we also tweet out about it. I asked someone else to tweet out about it since I don't have a Twitter myself. But all of those, and probably one or two more that I'm not thinking of off the top of my head.
And if I can add, the tutors that we hire, we want them to work. And so sometimes we have to walk the fine line with a faculty member who is convinced that students are going to come to us for tutoring in his or her course, when all of our data shows that historically no one has come in for tutoring for that particular course. So at the beginning of each semester, we often have faculty members who are trying to, please, you have to hire this person, please hire this person, we want you to hire this person, he or she is great and will be an excellent tutor and you're going to need this person on your staff. And we have to try to impress on the faculty member, well, that's great, but can that tutor potentially tutor in other courses where he or she will work as a tutor? Because if we're going to hire that tutor for that one course that the professor thinks is going to be high demand, and then no one comes in for tutoring in that course, it's unfortunate that we have to hire that tutor with the expectation that you're going to work for us, and then you don't work for us. Despite even the professor's best efforts to say there's a tutor available in the ERC, please go, please look into it, please make an appointment, and no one shows up. So we want them to work for us.
Do you ever do any test-taking strategies, sessions around multiple choice?
Sure. We developed a test-taking strategies workshop. It's evolved a bit, right? And it does include
Cecilia, microphone.
It does include multiple choice test-taking skills, approaches. Once you start talking about multiple choice, though, you really, and Amy can talk more about how the ambassadors are actually executing that workshop currently. But once you start talking about multiple choice, you're really talking about strategy. And so what I like to tell students when I'm in individual advising meetings with them is that what they forget often about multiple choice test taking is that it's not necessarily the only answer that they're looking for, it's simply the best one of the bunch. And I think that's what a lot of students get confused about. Does that help?
And we do have a note-taking and test preparation workshop that the student ambassadors offer. So it wouldn't be appropriate for one student to request it, but if that's something that you are interested for your group of students, or if a student would want to request for a group of students, that's something that we could also offer. Typically the workshops are about an hour in length, and we do travel to you if that's helpful, so we can do something like that as well.
A question about that, the pie chart with 100 courses in it. There were a couple pieces of pie that were significantly larger than the other pieces of pie. Do you know what those courses are? Those are probably your frequent flyers in terms of classes.
Chem 101, Chem 203, PY 105. Those are the top 3 from the fall of 2013. And also are the top 3 of the fall of 2014.
Ever.
And I would I would say that they're going back in time.
Okay, thank you. I'm Michelle Sherman, by the way. I'm another member of the Brown Bag Lunch Committee, part of the advising network. So I think we're ready to wrap up here. We just want to say thank you to all of our panelists for coming today and talking to us about this. And then also thank you to all of you. And then I just want to shout out to our next Brown Bag Lunch session, which will be on December 3rd, Wednesday at noon. Again, it will be in LSE B01. We'll be sending out an invitation, hopefully within the next couple of weeks. And we will be sharing the results from the student engagement survey that was administered to our freshmen and seniors. So we'll be talking about some of the results from there because some of the questions, there was a module on advising there. So we want to have an open discussion with you and hopefully recruit some more faculty to be there as well. So we hope to see you there. Thank you. Thank you.